who can imagine raising 10 children for, £13,500? Where are they all going to live in the meantime? There are many, many economic and social and political problems in Russia. And this absolutely is not going to persuade very many Russian women to have 10 children.
A Soviet era award for women who have 10 or more children. It's called the Mother Heroine. It's an attempt to restore Russia's demographic crisis that has been deepened by the war in Ukraine. Under Putin's decree, women will get a one-off payment of 1 million rubles, about £13,500, after their 10th child has reached its first birthday, on the condition that the other 9 children are still alive. My word. Joining me now is Dr. Jenny Mathers, Senior Lecturer in International Politics at Aberystwyth University. And Dr. Mathers is an expert on Russian politics and security. Jenny, hello.
Hello.
This sounds desperate. Is it?
It is actually. It is pretty desperate. I mean, Russia has had difficulties with demographics, trying to get enough people to sort of populate the country really since the 1990s, off and on. But COVID in particular, in addition to the war in Ukraine, has really set Russia's demographics back very, very significantly. So this is obviously an attempt to encourage Russian women or inspire them perhaps to have more babies and to have really big families. And Putin is on record now as having said that people from bigger families are sort of more patriotic. They feel that love for Mother Russia even more than other people do.
That love for Mother Russia. I mean, so you've got to have 10 children, got to keep the other 9 alive to get £13,500, as they say here in the UK at the moment. Doesn't really touch the sides.
No, it doesn't. I think this is a really tone-deaf kind of response to a demographic issue. It's far too little, far too late. I mean, who can imagine raising 10 children for, £13,500? Where are they all going to live in the meantime? There are many, many economic and social and political problems in Russia. And this absolutely is not going to persuade very many Russian women to have 10 children.
Well, yeah, indeed. I mean, because at the moment, I think Russia's population is about, 145 or so million. I mean, it varies depending on where you look online. But it is in long-term decline, isn't it? I mean, it's way below the replacement level, which is about, 2.2? I mean, Japan is low, Italy's low, lots of countries are low, but Russia's one of the worst, isn't it?
Yeah, Russia's the average Russian woman has 1.6 children
Yeah.
throughout the whole of her life. And so, yes, well below the level that's needed to replace the population. And so, yes, I mean, this is a way of trying to respond to that. But it's very typical in many respects for Putin and his supporters and his surrounders to really reach back into the past to look for a solution to today's problems. I know this is what he's been doing really throughout, I think, since his return to the presidency in 2012. It's looking back into the past for justifications, for ideas about policies. There's really no new ideas. There's no kind of forward-looking vision or inspiration for the future. It's just very backward.
Yeah, and when you look at the reasons why Japan's population is in long-term decline and why women are having so I suppose much fewer children, okay, it's usually because highly educated women, lots of choices, delayed childbearing, difficulties getting the right partner, the kind of things that we see here. But is that the case in Russia as well?
Not entirely. I mean, outside the big cities in Russia, it's actually quite dangerous to be pregnant and to have a baby. The chances of dying in childbirth are much higher outside the big cities, and so for a lot of women, it's the healthcare situation is really a big deterrent. Plus the economic situation. Typically a country that's sort of growing and optimistic is more likely to have a higher birth rate. But also there's real issues around how Russian women are treated in society. It's a very patriarchal society, in some respects quite misogynistic. Domestic violence is very common. Divorce rates are very high. So, it's not a lot of incentives really for Russian women to put up with that kind of behavior and to want to have children with those kinds of men.
So do you think they're going to have many takers for this Mother Heroine award of 1 million rubles?
Very few. And I hope they index it for inflation because, by the time you have 10 children and the youngest one is a year old, who knows how much a million rubles will be worth by then.